Hello, viewers. Welcome back once again to the MBB show. I am your host, Joseph Ban, and I have with me some amazing guests who are here to help us understand today's topic. Today's topic is brand naming across cultures. And I have with me Kelvin. Kelvin, can you give us a wave? Delma and Nell. They are our experts and panelists for today to help us understand better what brand naming across culture is. So to begin with, Nell, can you help us understand what brand naming is across cultures?
Thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Host. So when we talk about brand naming across cultures, it's all about identifying, selecting a name that can be accepted in all diverse cultures. Thank you.
Okay, great. Taking a name that can be accepted across all cultures, as diverse cultures.
Yes, please.
So then, picking a name that can be accepted across all cultures, what are some of the challenges that can affect a firm in choosing such name?
Okay, some of the challenges are language barrier and cultural association. And I want to give an example. So let's say you name your brand, let's say you're in your country, right? And give a name to your brand. For your country, it means positive, like it has a good meaning. But if you take it outside another culture, it might mean different. Like, for example, Chumo milk. I heard it's a US product. For them, it means different. But if you come to our Ghana, you all know what Chumo means.
That's interesting, man. So you can pick a name here, there it's an insult. So we have to consider everything in choosing a name. So Thelma, can you help us understand some of the best practices businesses has to put in place to be able to name a brand that will be acceptable across all cultures?
Okay, thank you for the question. So these are some of the best practices that brand or companies can practice. We can talk of conducting global research. We can also talk of they should test the names with target audience, and then they can consider local languages and cultural nuisance. The last thing I would like to talk about is they should ensure consistency across markets. That's the last point I will end with.
So in considering consistency across all uh, borders,
Yes.
then it comes to mind what are some of the considerations they have to put in place in doing that?
Okay, so they can brand positioning and identity. We can also talk of taboos and sensitivities, and then meaning and symbolism. That is the color, the animals, and those things. We can also talk about local market trends. Yes.
Okay. So I believe you are picking up something. You have to consider colors, names, letters, everything. Oh, that is what our expert here is telling us today. So when I'm giving a brand name, consider all these things, and then you give us what best suits our terrain. Calvin, I'm coming to you. Okay. So with this said, what are some of the naming strategies business can consider to give a brand name that can suit all markets? Kelvin, can you help us with that?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. So, if we are talking about naming strategies, we have about four naming strategies you can consider. And then the first one is the global branding, which is a single name. And then we have the local branding, that is a region specific name. And then
Okay.
also we have adaptation, that we talk about modifying global name. And then the last one is the phonetic branding. That talks about the sound-based names. Yeah. So those are the four naming strategies we have.
Okay. So then, what are some of the naming processes businesses has to consider when
Um,
giving the name?
okay, so if we are talking about the brand naming processes, um, you can consider brainstorming name options and then also define brand identity and then positioning. Also, we can talk about test names with target audience and then secure trademarks and then domain names. So these are some of the brand naming processes you can consider to
Okay, wow,
name your
that's
brand.
impressive. Thank you for this enlightenment. What then are some of the examples we can get
Okay,
with
so
such brand names that has made itself known across cultures?
some of the examples we have, I'll go with Nike, which is a global branding name, and then also I'll go with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is across agriculture. We have some in Ghana, we have it in Europe countries, and also if I take Coca-Cola for instance, Coca-Cola is in Ghana, it's in Nigeria, it's in US, it's everywhere across all the European countries and the African countries. So these are some of the examples.
Yeah, I like the names and examples you give. Coca-Cola, whether you go to Asia, you go to Africa, you come to Europe, you go to the Americans, the Oceanians, Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola. Nike is Nike. That's the same way EcoBank is EcoBank. It doesn't matter where you go. So, in choosing a brand name, please, viewers, as our expert has made us known today, make sure you consider the culture or the people where you are going to do your business. Consider the importance of their culture, how relevant it is to the people, the taboo, and their belief systems, so that you give a name that will not sound well in Africa, but will sound rough in Europe, or it will sound well in Europe and it will come and sound bizarre in Africa. Thank you for joining us today. And I believe you have learned something that you didn't know that will help your brand in the future. This is the MBB show, and we are glad to have you watching and listening. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for joining us today. We love you, our cherished viewers. We will meet again next week. Ta da!